Just like Bobby said, it's fantastic to be here. It's always great to come home to Saskatoon. I haven't got, when I was in Detroit, we used to play a long time in the spring. I didn't get home right away. I've got home a little quicker than I like to the last few years. Not so much this year just because of the way things have gone with the new job, but it's always a thrill to come home. And then just to see all the familiar faces in the room here, whether I saw you before in the bar or just to see you here now, it's a tribute to all you people. If you want to be successful in this business, you want to have an impact, you got to grow your craft and you got to embrace lifelong learning. And to me, that's what this is right here. When you have an opportunity to come out and listen to guys speak and get better, I think it's a real positive thing. Now, this is where I'm going. This is my lake home. So I've been coming home now. I moved to Spokane when my daughter, who's now 22, was 1. And we've been coming home every summer. This is my little piece of heaven. It's something that'll always be in my family, and it just kind of has kept me grounded. And my neighbors are complaining because the lawn's not cut and all that right now, but I'll get up there and get it fixed up. My son's flying in and I'm going to pick him up at the airport tonight and we're going to get there. But it's always great to come home to Saskatchewan. I'm going to do my best to run this right here, guys. So when you're coaching hockey, you got to treat the people in front of you right, because some days they end up being your boss. But for you guys, they could end up being your doctors or your lawyers or bailing you out of jail or being the police officers one day. I just think the impact you have on your players, you're trying to get them to be better, you're trying to get them to be better men, but you're developing citizens for the world. You're developing people to go out there and make people better. And as long as we don't lose sight of that, I always say to people is the number one thing you want to do is make sure your players love the game more when you're done with them than when they arrived. Here, as you can see, Shani, I was probably telling him how much I liked him here in this picture right here, how hard he was playing or something like that, and then he ends up being my boss. But I think relationship building, the people you're around, no matter where you are, I'm real proud that Tim Speltz and Bobby Brett are really good friends of mine. I'm real proud of 10 years in Detroit that Ken Holland, I'll be at his daughter's wedding here in July. Real good friends. The relationships you build through our great sport, I think, are so very important. Obviously, I'm in Toronto now. What I thought I'd talk to you guys tonight here a little bit about is maximizing your group. I believe that's what coaching is about turning them into men, but maximizing the group, squeezing every ounce out of them they possibly can. To me, what the good Lord put you here for is so you could maximize what the good Lord gave you. Squeeze every ounce out of yourself. And to me, that's socially, that's in the relationships with your family, that's at the rink. And to me, it's just doing things right every single day. And as a coach, we can talk a lot, but really the modeling we do is what it's all about. And so maximizing your group, to me, is absolutely critical. At the same time, you're building your career. If you're a career coach or you want to be a career coach, you're building it. And it doesn't matter what level you're at. Most of us, and I got to be careful how I say this, those of us who are making a living coaching, we'd pay to do it. We love doing it. We love being around the athletes. We love doing it. So to me, building your career and getting better each and every day, you challenge your players to do that. If you don't embrace that, to me, you're not doing enough. So what I thought I'd do is I'm going to just walk through with you quickly. I'm going to walk through the steps of my career. I'm going to talk to you about attitude, which I think is so important. Developing a culture, setting a standard, creating an accountability, creating a chance for people to be excellent. I want to talk to you about preparation. To me, in the end, it's about preparation. If your team's ready, if you're ready to help your team get ready, you have a chance for them to be successful. Setting a climate of work ethic. Finding people. Finding the best people you can possibly find. Surround yourself, make you better. And then once again, growing and being a lifelong learner. And then I'll turn it over quickly to questions for you. Hopefully we get to that quickly so you guys can find out what you want, or if you have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer it for you. Bobby said I went to England. I was a bad hockey player. I went to college. I had a great time at McGill University. I was going to grad school. I had a chance to teach at Northumberland Community College. I went to England. I got to end up being a player coach enough that I could say on a resume when a job came up at Red Dirt College that I'd coached a little. I'd been to grad school. This job came up, a Saskatoon guy named Al Furchuk. I'd been to the U of S, was the athletic director. He gave me my start, my first job. I was there for 3 years. I ended up going to Moose Jaw in the Western Hockey League. I was there about, I don't know how many games I was there before the general manager came on the bench, and he didn't like how I was coaching the team, I guess. He came on the bench, and then pretty soon I was the coach and general manager. I wasn't even good enough to be the coach, never mind the coach and general manager. Actually, Mooner bailed me out. We went into Saskatoon. The general manager and I were on the bench, and Mooner's team laid the boots to us, something else. And then he had some nice things to say in the paper the next day, and so I ended up the coach and general manager, and the other guy moved on. I got fired in Moose Jaw. It was tough. I had to come home. I got fired over a season ticket campaign in the summer. I didn't need to get fired, but I couldn't keep my mouth shut. We just had our first baby. I came home and said to my wife, gee, I lost my job. We had no money. I remember going to the lake there, no money. It wasn't very... My dad's big line was, poverty walks in the door, love blows out the window, and that definitely happened in that case. We couldn't pay the bills. Anyway, I was fortunate enough, and then actually Pete Anholt, who I think is in Lethbridge now, if I'm not mistaken. Pete Anholt got me this job at Red Deer College. Pete was doing me a favor, gave me a job for $500 to work for the week at Red Deer at the hockey school. And it came down to myself and another guy who was going to get the job, and Pete got on the phone with the athletic director and talked nice about me, and they gave me the job, and we had a good year, won a national championship, and that got me to Spokane, and that basically set up my career. So the Spokane Chiefs, I always think about two people when I think about the foundation that I have in hockey. The foundation I have in hockey, to me, was built through the Spokane Chiefs and the Detroit Red Wings. So Tim Speltz and Ken Holland. They allowed me to grow. They pushed me to grow. They made me better. They challenged me. They were patient with me, made me a better person. They gave me good players. But being in those situations was so critical with great, great people. And when you're looking for a job or you're getting a job, first thing you want to do is look for good people. Because if you're going someplace without good people, you have no chance to survive whatsoever. So going to Spokane was a home run for me. I was there 6 years. In that time, I got to coach the World Junior team for Canada in '97. And this kind of was the first time that I had any profile as a coach that it looked like. I never ever thought I was going to be an NHL coach. Some people have said to me, oh, you told me you did. I never thought like that at all. Every job I had was the best job in the whole world. It was the greatest job you could ever have. When I got the job at Red Deer College at 25, I thought I'd hit it out of the park. I thought, geez, this is a great job. When I was at Lethbridge, the same thing. These were great jobs. Finally, once I started getting some traction, then I got a little more of a vision of where a guy might go. After I left Spokane, I went to Cincinnati in the American League, and I talked to you a little bit already about relationships. I was lucky because when I went to Cincinnati in the American League, I worked for Anaheim and I worked for Detroit. So Jimmy Nill and Ken Holland came down every week. So I built a relationship with them from Detroit. And then Pierre Gauthier and David McNabb would come in as well. And actually, Brian Murray got fired when I was from Florida when I was in Cincinnati. Brian Murray came in and we had a few pops one night and got talking. In the end, Brian Murray hired me to be the head coach in Anaheim. So to me, all relationship based, getting to know people, treating people right. When a job came available, they were willing to give you a call. I was fortunate when I went to Anaheim, we got off to anywhere you go, if you can get off to a good start. Now, I'm coaching in Toronto now, so I probably might change my mind on that, but anywhere I've ever been before, it was very important to get off to a good start. Was fortunate in Anaheim. Brian Murray did a great job. We ended up with good players, and we had a real good run this year. That year we lost Game 7 on the Stanley Cup Finals. The next year, actually, we missed the playoffs. Jim Nill, who I'd worked with in Cincinnati, was running the World Championship team and offered me the job to coach that team. We had a lot of fun over there. From there, that was my job interview for Detroit. So everywhere you go, you have an impact on people, whether it be positive or whether it be a negative. You have a chance to touch those people. You're interviewing all the time. So the whole time I was in Cincy, I was interviewing for the Detroit Red Wing job. The whole time I was at the World Championships, I was interviewing for the Detroit Red Wing job. You didn't know. I didn't know when Shanny was playing for me that I was interviewing for the Maple Leaf job. I didn't know when Yzerman was playing for me that I was interviewing for the Olympic job. You don't know. So you got to live it every day. It's not once in a while. It's not when someone's watching. It's who you are. And that, to me, is what a coach is. I take unbelievable pride in being called coach. To me, it's a huge, huge responsibility. It's a responsibility of acting with integrity. It's a responsibility of treating people right. It's a responsibility of being ultra prepared. It's a responsibility of growing your craft each and every year. But what a great job. Someone gets to call you coach. Pretty special. You know, we had a lot of success, Bobby said, when I was in Detroit. Great people, working hard. It was like a machine. Everybody doing their job, and they just found players year after year after year. And we had a lot of success, and we had a lot of fun. In my 10 years there, we averaged 106 points, most in the National Hockey League. We played 21 playoff series, unbelievable. It was a great, great time, and my kids got to grow up in the same spot. I just put that one in. I'm going to show that again. I just put it. It's been so long since I touched this. It's not even funny, but it's very fun. If you ever get a chance to put your hand on that, make sure you do. Got a chance to coach the Olympic team just because of Stevie and getting to know him. He worked 4 years with us. We had great players doing it in Canada. Just like coming back to Saskatchewan was an unbelievable thrill to walk around Vancouver and to feel the energy of the people and to share this Olympics with other athletes. It's special thing to sing the Canadian national anthem on home soil, arm in arm with your players, and that special thing. Then to do it in Sochi, another opportunity just a couple of years ago, once again to sing the national anthem. Now I'm in Toronto. What I thought I'd talk to you about, that was just who I am. What I thought I'd talk to you about here, though, is attitude. So you get to choose your attitude each and every day of your life. And the one on the left, I always say to the guys, you can walk in, and you know, you got players like this, and you got coaches like this. They walk in, and you sit down next to a guy in the stall, you could suck the life out of him. You're a Duracell drainer, could suck the life right out of a Duracell battery. You got no energy, team has no energy, your staff has no energy, or you could be the energizing bunny. To me, you want to surround yourself, you want to be the people that are prepared to be energized, to have your team going. If you want your team to be as good as it's possibly capable of being, to me, there's got to be energy. Each and every day you get to choose your attitude. When we used to get off the bus, and I put this in here, when we used to get off the bus in Detroit in the playoffs, so I'd get off first, Ken Holland would get off second, Scotty Bowman would get off next, Jimmy Devellano would get off after that, Jimmy Nill would get off after that, then that's Stevie Yzerman's head's kind of caught behind the thing. It was an unbelievable network of people. Everyone worries about the team on the bottom on the ice. The team on the top that's driving the product, to me, is what matters. As these people left, as Scotty left, as Jimmy Nill left, as Pat Verbeek left, as Stevie left, it was harder and harder to be as good as staff. And to me, that affects the team. When you get a chance to hire the people you're going to work with, surround yourself with the best possible people you can. Shanny always says, he says, I'm hoping that I'm the dumbest guy in the room. You want to surround yourself with people that are smarter than you. It takes confidence to do that. But to me, that's how you have success. Those people make you better because they're smarter than you are. Then you find yourself the best men you possibly can find to work with you. So I'm so proud. I'm proud of, when I started in Saskatoon, my first coach was a guy named Mike Kukurudza, coached me Pee-wee. Then I went and played for a guy named Don Limfanenko in Bantam, then Tom Meldrum, then Bill Seymour, then Darryl Lubanecki, then Dave King. Good men. Good men. Todd McClellan worked with me. Paul McLean worked with me. Bill Peters worked with me, now Carolina. Blash is now the head coach in Detroit. Great coach. You got to surround yourself with the best people. And to me, the best CEOs in the world have a succession plan. They're not scared to hire good people. They hire good people so they can keep their jobs, so they get better all the time. So you're pushed to be better. What you know right now isn't good enough for next year. You got to find a way to do it better. What won the cup in 08 or 09 can't win it anymore. What won last Olympics isn't going to win the next Olympics. You got to continue to evolve. You want to talk about great people. Ralph Kruger, Ken Hitchcock, Brewer, Claude Julien, Lindy Ruff, Steve Yzerman. That's how you have success. Here's the next thing I want to talk to you about. I talked to you about the team, the big team that's driving the team. Then these guys drive the bus. But developing a core that do things right every day. Nick Cronwell, he might be the best pro I ever met. Walks in the room right, puts his hot pack on, takes it off, stretches right, trains right, eats right, sleeps right, competes right, there every day. So Pavel Datsyuk, first day in training camp, gets out there, works as hard as anyone else, boom, right off, he's jumping hurdles. If you're a young guy, you got no place to go. You have to follow those people. The guys on your team that are leading the way, if your best players aren't your best people, you got to get ready to make some changes. That's just the way it has to be if you're going to have any success. When I went to the first Olympic Games, I coached, and Niedermeyer had already been with me at a world championship, but we called these guys the graybeards. They were the old guys on the team. They kept us quiet, they kept us calm, they kept us under control. They provided great leadership in our room. They did it right. This isn't a bad group either. So if you want to model yourself after anybody, Jonathan Toews, I mean, it's almost embarrassing to be his teammate because he does it that right. He does it that hard. Webb is the same way. We put Webb in charge of Drew Doughty at the Olympics so that he kept him just by the ears so Dowds couldn't lose his way on the way to the game or anything like that, and keep him focused so Dowds could be the player. And then obviously Sid, great player. So, I mean, you could say, well, these are the greatest players in the world. These guys got to learn how to lead too. Someone has to help them become leaders. And to me, who's driving the bus on your team? I think that's a huge part of creating a culture and having success as a coach, is making the best people do it. I talked to Jim Hiller last year. He coached in the Western Hockey League. I hired him to run, be an offensive guy on our team and run our power play. He did a fantastic job. And at the start of the year, we'd get our B group to play. So Tatar and Nyquist and these guys were good on the power play. But Zetterberg and Datsyuk weren't any good at all. They didn't listen to him. And I'd say to him every day, not in front of him, but in the room, I'd say, Jim, you're scared of those guys. You won't coach them. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I think you are. You go down there and tell these guys what to do. You don't tell these guys what to do. That's what a lot of us do with our best players. We're scared of them. That's why they don't stop on defense. That's why they do flybys. That's why they don't do it right. That happens in the National Hockey League. That happens in Major Junior. That happens in the Saskatchewan Junior League. It happens in Midget AAA. You can't be scared of them. They want to be told. The best players in the world, that guy right there, he stops on defense when you tell him to. He just does. You know why they do? Because they want to be great. In all my years coaching, there's only one guy that didn't want help. In all my years. One guy. Now, have I ever had some confrontations with players? Sure. Have I ever crossed the line with players? Sure. They come in my office and tell me. If I cross the line with you, I'd tell you. But they want you to make them do it. You got to teach those young men to lead. You got to make your best players be your hardest working, best people. You have to. And if they're not, you're not winning. Okay, we're going to get to the question and answer. I just put these up here. This is just for my own personal entertainment because I liked it so much. Just the opportunity that I've had through my career hanging out with great athletes, great people. In the end, for me, I come back to Saskatchewan every year. My whole life is about this family right here. So that's my pride and joy is my wife. She's a Lloydminster girl, went to the U.S. And I have 3 children. Allie's my oldest girl. She's going to work at Winsport in Calgary. She just graduated from Michigan in medical sciences. My son's just played 2 years in Fargo in the U.S. Junior League and is going to Merrimack in Boston to play hockey. And my youngest girl, Taylor, is just on her way to the University of Portland to play soccer, and we're real proud of them. Anybody got any questions for me? Someone's got to ask me something. I was told to keep it real short to give you some time so I could tell you whatever you wanted to know. Here it is. Come on.
Why Toronto, Mike?
Great question. I always said I'd never go there. You know, in the end, what it came down to for me is I'd been 10 years in Detroit. General manager is one of my best friends in the world. I loved it there. I loved the players, loved the town, but I wanted to try something different. And I talked to my kids lots about this. I thought at 52 I wasn't dead. I thought there was more challenges out there. Really think that I've been a go-getter in my life. Really tried to get after it and find new opportunities. When it came right down to it, I was fortunate to have lots of opportunity. I couldn't see myself leaving Detroit to not go to an original six team, even though lots of other teams were set up way better. I just felt like that they were going to give myself and Shani the opportunity and the time to do it right so that we can get Toronto back on the map here. I think Toronto's in a tough spot right now. I think it's for the next 3 years, people are going to think we don't have a clue what we're doing. But I also believe in life, if you think you can, you can. So don't bet against us. Anybody else?
With your Olympic team, how do you create roles and how do you?
I mean, you know, it's amazing to me. You bring the best players together, they want to win. And so you got to come up with a plan that you think is important, and then you tell them what you want them to do, and then you make them do it. And so to me, you know, it's been straightforward. But, you know, I'll be honest with you, is you got to make them. First TV timeout in Sochi, I've told this story lots. Getzy and Crosby had already had long shifts. First TV timeout, and it's quiet over there. So it was easy for you. Boom, they come over. I just say, Sid Getzy, just so everybody knows that's the last long shifts of the tournament. That'll never happen again or no one's playing. Just so we all understand. Boom. First two guys I picked on in the video were Jonathan Toews and Crosby. Met with them before. They were first stars in the video, not stopping, not having their guy off face-offs. There's no sense going after these guys. It's the big dogs. And as soon as you got them aboard, they're all going. Our average shift length in the gold medal game was 37 seconds long. You make them do it. Now, that doesn't mean you threaten them, but you make them do it. Good players, they want to play well. They want to win.
Mike would say, I learned many years ago that the speed of the boss is the speed of the gang. And you bring your work ethic that inspires those players. You also talked about your mentors like Ken Holland and people above you, kind of work ethic that they had that have challenged you and inspired you. I think that's important to follow that chain.
Well, this is what I tell you. When I first got to Detroit and Ken Holland would text me at 12 at night, I loved that. And the reason I loved it is I knew he was working. So I got this kid named Dubas who I didn't know who he was. Actually, I was a bit of a jackass to him. The first time I met him, I was at the World Championships and he came over the table. And I've heard so many things about this young guy out of the Sioux that's GM and you know, analytics and stuff like that. So when he sat down at the table, and I was with a bunch of guys, Armstrong and Holland and a bunch of general managers, and he sat down with Shani, and I said, oh, the famous Kyle Dubas. Well, this guy, you might not have even heard of him. He's a superstar. He's an absolute superstar. You know, it's interesting. Every decade, I believe they get that much smarter. So to me, at 28 I'm 52, so a guy 32 today who's cutting edge is 2 decades smarter than me. That's just the facts. That's just the way it is. He's 2 decades smarter than me. He's cutting edge. So that kid, he's sending me stuff all the time. I get little things from Shani. Hey, you got time to talk. To me, that's what it's all about. People often say, I hear him say to my wife, your husband works a lot, and I hear her laugh and say, no, he doesn't. He doesn't even have a job. He's out there screwing around all the time. She's right. Like, I've been so blessed to get to work in this great game that you don't go to work. You just do what you do. And I think passion and excitement and energy and attitude oozes out of people. And people that have it, they don't even know they're making the people around them better. But you just don't let anybody off the hook because you're fired up about life. Energy is contagious. You know, it's interesting. You go into Tim Hortons. I love Tim Hortons. So you go into Tim Hortons and, you know, I'll have a coffee. Or you can, hey, how are you today? I'll have a coffee. You can get them all fired up too. You're allowed to get people fired up. There's nothing wrong with that. It's fun to be fired up. I like people that have some energy. I'm not coming back tomorrow. Who else got a question for me?
Biggest challenge.
Right now, scared to death. We just had our pro meetings. This is the most scared I've ever been since I was in Moose Jaw. When I went to Moose Jaw, I thought I was a good coach. I can remember, no word of a lie, I can remember the first time walking across the ice, my legs were shaking. At the Olympic Games, I was watching the U.S. in 2010. I was watching the U.S. play someone before our game. It might have been Norway. It might have been, like, it was no one that you'd think they were playing so good. I was sitting in a suite, and my legs started to shake. So I stood up, like, my legs started to shake. Oh, got down the room where I'm comfortable. Everything was good, no problem. Didn't feel anything in the game. Came the next time before we're playing, went up, and someone was playing before. My legs started shaking. I never went up again. Forget that. Like, just, I'm shaking. So you got to be careful in life what you ask for. And then when you do, then you got to go. What I love about being scared like I am right now is I also feel like I'm 25, I'm alive. I think it's important to be alive. I never had a bigger challenge than this in a lot of years. So that's the biggest challenge. Go ahead.
So many professionals, how do you work on team building at that level?
You know what?
Or is it amongst the players, or is it just picking the right guys like you said?
You know what? I used to be a massive team builder. I used to be all over team building. But when I got to Detroit, we had Lidstrom and Shanahan and Yzerman and this one and that one, and they didn't want to do anything. So I stopped doing it. And then as we got younger here, we had to do way more again because our dressing room was so quiet in Detroit. All the young kids I had the last 2 years, they stand in the hallway before the game. They don't want to be in the dressing room. Little things, they're not used to it like it used to be. So we do a ton of it now. I think team building is great, but I also think we get confused. Going for a few beers with a guy, to me, isn't team building. Blocking a shot, getting out on the wall every time, paying a price, that's team building. Doing things right. So let's not get confused in what it is, but I think it's great to have things that get the guys fired up. I mean, we have these little bikes, they race around with the ice. We do a baton relay race at the Joe. We'll do it 3 times before practice because they want to do it 3 times. You know, we got to do a second heat and a third heat. Anything that gets them charged up, anything that leads to a story, that leads to someone looking dumb and someone abusing them, to me is great stuff. Anybody else?
Talk more about how you're going to make it a safe place.
Yeah, what I thought last year is the Toronto Maple Leafs, the players, they've done a lot to themselves. When you hide from the media, they're coming to get you. If you just man up. In life, Tom Rennie's daughter's a psychologist, and her big line is, own your own shit. When you act like a dumbass, own it. Play good, you own it. When you play bad, you own it. When you hide, they're coming to get you. So go hide. Then the other thing is social media. I don't know if anyone has seen, what's that movie, The Interns? Google, you seen that movie? Is it called Interns? And so what is it, their Googleness? What is it about again?
They're interns at Google.
They're interns at Google. So they're all out drinking one night and they're going crazy, and the guy's getting ready to send him his girlfriend or somebody, not his girlfriend, something stupid, and they come up with the drunk app. It prevents you from doing something stupid. That's what we need. We need the Leaf app. No, like, why prove, like, don't bring it on yourself. We got to get the room under control. We got to get things under control. And then suddenly it'll be safe. The other thing is, as the head coach, you got to take some responsibility. But when management in the NHL and the coach aren't together, the players know. The players know everything before you do. If you think you're fooling your players, you're kidding yourself. They know everything before you do. So you have to be together. Ken Holland and Mike Babcock, there was no soft landings, no slippery place to go. So you could take responsibility, you're in control. We need to do the same thing in Toronto. It shouldn't always be Dion's fault or Phil's fault. It should be everyone's fault. But, I mean, we also got to play harder and be more organized and be smart about what we're doing. And then I think it'll become a safe place to play. I think 3 years from now, people will want to play there.
Do you see that there would be a lot of changes this year, or do you think it's kind of a wait-and-see approach, like for you going in there and kind of assessing everything, or do you think there'll be major changes?
You know, I don't know that because I don't know what's going to be available. So I just know that we're way behind Buffalo and Edmonton as far as taking off. And so we're going to have tons of draft picks. So I know how you get draft picks. So what are we going to do that? So that's part of the plan for sure. And then the other thing is the patience. We can't get in our own way. We just can't get in our own way. So, I'm used to winning lots. It's going to be, some nights it's going to be ugly standing on that bench, I bet you. We're going to maximize the group, whatever group we have. That's my job. Thank you very much for having me. I can't tell you, when Ronnie or Kinger are railroading me into coming out here, and you're saying, oh my God, how am I going to fit it in? But when you arrive in Saskatchewan, you come here, you're thrilled to death to be here. I'm thrilled to be from Saskatchewan. I'm proud to say, I always say I'm selling redneck authenticity. Saskatchewan redneck authenticity. I really believe we got great people in this province, and I'm proud to bring my kids home, and I thought it was important for them to grow up in the summers in Saskatchewan so they knew what real people were. I'm thrilled to come home and to be here tonight to share my little story with you. I hope it was of value to you. I know you got great speakers here. I see Willie here, Gully here. I know Tip's coming, Kinger's here. You have great speakers. Enjoy them. Enjoy talking to them. If I can ever help you out, don't hesitate to track me down, and go Leafs.